Hi, I'm Shane Jones. Making headlines tonight. The spotlight is on good hygiene and how it can keep you healthy. Barbados tourism benefiting from the Latin American connection. Guyana's government warned against depending too much on its new oil industry. And in sports, Windies named vice captains ahead of the ICC Cricket World Cup.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
Leading the news at 7. Good hygiene not only helps to keep you clean and germ-free, it could also keep you healthy. That's a message local health officials want to get across this World Hygiene Day. Now, they say it's important for people to pay attention to the basics, noting that keeping your hands clean means staying healthy. That was a key point made when the Ministry of Health went to National Heroes Square to highlight all the do's and don'ts to Barbadians. Now, reinforcing the point later was Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Kenneth George. During an interview with the CBC News, he reiterated the importance of good hand-washing practices. He says it's the simplest but most effective public health measure and something the ministry is focusing on.
It is estimated that about half of infections within a hospital setting can be prevented by hand washing. And that's why we have taken, and the Ministry of Health has invested a lot of time and effort, and we work with all our healthcare providers, including our nurses, our doctors, and all persons who come into contact with the patient, and encourage them to wash their hands before and after they engage them.
The CMO reveals that while Barbadians in general are not at the level the health ministry would like to see in terms of hand washing, there have been improvements, especially in the health sector.
The level of hand washing within the geriatric hospital had improved, and the psychiatric hospital also, because they have very, very active prevention and control programs. The Ministry of Health has invested tremendously in infection control. So we have, many of you may not know, we have well-trained individuals both in our geriatric and in our psychiatric system. And in the hospital, that's a biggie, so we also have trained persons in infection control.
Now, Dr. George says the ministry was able to interact with a number of school children through today's outreach, and they will be targeting schools more in the future.
I think that schools are always a good means for intervention because it's a very good captive audience, and children tend to catch on to good behaviors quickly. So I think moving forward, yes, we're going to be targeting the school.
Now, several private sector companies partnered with the Ministry of Health for its outreach in the city this morning. Among them was Tropichem Limited and Massey Stores. Territory manager at Tropichem, Sylvia Howell-Cumberbatch, says over the years the company has been assisting in the fight against the spread of diseases with its microbial hand soap and hand sanitizer.
They both go hand in hand. You wash your hands, clean your hands with the hand soap, and then you can sanitize your hands. We have our display of our hand sanitizer, and we carry samples where when you're on the road, you can, or wherever, you can carry a sample with you. And it works very well. It is 99.9% safe, very good for your hands.
Well, for the next 4 years, Barbados Chief Fire Officer Errol Maynard will serve as president of the Caribbean Association of Fire Chiefs. He was elevated to the post this morning at the 2019 CAFC conference and exhibition at the Accra Beach Hotel, taking over from Bermuda's Chief Fire Officer Reginald Birchall. Now, after the handing over of the instruments of office, the new CAF president called on its members to be united in the effort to lift the association to greater heights.
As an association, it is time that we truly change the world, not to suit ourselves, but to make it better for those who follow us. Whenever we take action, it must be and will be purposeful.
The CAFC's mandate is to prevent and minimize the loss of life, personal injury, damage to property, and the environment by promoting best practices in firefighting, rescue, and fire prevention. And Home Affairs Minister Edmund Hinkson says efforts to take the fire service into a new era have not gone unnoticed.
The Barbados Fire Service has in recent times engaged in the process of mapping to improve service delivery and eliminate wastage. In this regard, the Chief Fire Officer has tirelessly promoted the need, as he said today, for training and retraining in this area, which is at the core of the fire and rescue services. This philosophy is supported by the establishment of the Barbados Fire Academy, with a vision not only for the development of local fire officers, but also of those within the region.
And we're back with some good news. The Barbados to Panama connection is paying off for the island. This assessment from Minister of Tourism and International Transport, Kerry Simmons. Speaking on the sidelines of a farewell reception for participants of Connect Barbados, Minister Simmons said the country is looking towards the Latin American market.
We've been working on Latin America. As you know, this year we broke a new record in terms of the attendance at this Connect exercise. It is really a familiarization experience where we bring partners from around the world and refamiliarize them with what we're doing in Barbados, and give them a vision as to where we want to go in the future. For the first time ever, we had a delegation out of Argentina, which was a representative of 31 travel agents. And we've never had such a large delegation coming out of Latin America. We feel, again, that this is a tremendous boost of confidence.
Well, the minister also commented on the notion that Barbados is an expensive destination. He says it's possible to visit the island on a tight budget.
I have tried to get people to understand that we have a fantastic part of our product called the Intimate Hotels of Barbados. It is second to none to be found anywhere in the Caribbean. And the Intimate Hotels have been able to attract people to this island. The longest stay people are those that are staying with the Intimate Hotels. Obviously, the Intimate Hotels are less expensive in terms of rooms per night, but it is sought after because it is genuinely Barbadian. People know you by name. You know the staff by name. You make friends with them. You're given attention in a very personalized way, and people like that.
Pretty interesting story now. Plans are advancing for one of the largest Barbados summer promotions in Canada. Maybe you've heard about it, the Barbados on the Water Festival. The Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. Director for Canada, Peter Mears, provided some insight as to what's in store.
Slated for Toronto in August 16th to the 18th, and that is going to see various elements of Barbados coming in to Toronto for the weekend, including music, culinary scene, theatre, fashion, and that is going to be probably the big event for the year. The focus on that is really twofold. Obviously, a bit of focus onto 2020 with the gathering, but in addition to that, to build our leisure traffic for the coming winter season as well.
We're hearing that the importance of youth involvement in the Barbados tourism sector should not be underestimated. And for CEO and founder of Nature Fun Ranch, Corey Lane, there's a role for young Barbadians to play. Now, he shared the view during his address to the Tourism Young Congress organized by the BTMI. Mr. Lane, a social activist, likened tourism to what he termed the bread and butter of Barbados. He has told players in the sector its programs must reflect the changing times.
As we start to attract the millennials to our tourism product at this time, to diversify it from an aging tourism product, both by visitor and by offering. I ask that, and I charge you to come up with ideas to attract your own. You are not only part of the millennials, you are part of Generation Z, those born after 1995. You understand their currency. You understand what makes them tick. You understand the technology, the digital age that we have gone into. And your recommendations, really, it should reflect the way that we attract and expand and improve our tourism product.
Guyana's opposition leader Bharat Jagdeo is urging the country's government not to depend only on oil to carry the economy forward. Oil production in the near future is expected to reach 120,000 barrels daily, and the revenue gained from the industry is anticipated to have a major positive impact on the lives of Guyanese. However, Jagdeo has warned against government putting all its eggs in one basket. More from HGP TV.
Guyana has recorded 13 oil discoveries offshore Guyana. In the near future, it is expected that 120,000 barrels of oil will be produced per day, which is anticipated to drastically change the lives of Guyanese for the better. However, PPP General Secretary Bar Jagdeo has a different view as it relates to the oil sector. He said that the government is circulating misconceptions that the oil revenue that will be received will solve all of the country's problems. He believes that the government urgently needs to focus on the diversification of the economy rather than becoming overly reliant on the revenue that they will receive from the oil in the future to avoid Guyana becoming like Venezuela.
Even if we get a lot of money, and we're not going to get a lot of money in the initial years, but even when we get a lot of money, if we don't focus it on what you just said, on the economy and diversification, then we're going to become like Venezuela or many other countries that produce a ton of oil, but their people don't have food. And this is the problem with this government. No plan for as to how we will use oil resources to create thousands of jobs for our people.
He opined that the government has no plan for how the oil revenue will be used and how to create jobs for the populace. Jagdeo added that the government needs to urgently decide what the resources are going to be allocated and used for, whether it is the healthcare, education, or job creation.
Okay, listen to this. A multi-million-dollar entrepreneurial development fund will make it easier for young people in Antigua and Barbuda to start their businesses. Prime Minister Gaston Brown says the EC $12 million fund will level the playing field in the business community. A further injection of EC $13.5 million is expected to be applied in the next 2 months, plus an additional $2 million from the island's telecommunications tax. The Prime Minister notes, however, that while applicants will not have to go through most of the procedures that financial institutions require, it's not a grant. He says beneficiaries are expected to use the funds responsibly and wisely. Some contentious news from the Bahamas now. Members of the Carnival Brand Owners Association are speaking out after the country's Christian Council suggested that Carnival should be a private affair. Former Christian Council President Bishop Simeon Hall recommended that organizers rent a private venue so those who don't want to be involved in Carnival don't have to be. More in this Our News report.
This is a street festival. Carnival is a street festival, the greatest street festival. Jumping is a street parade. And so being confined doesn't lend to the spirit of the people. We are Afrocentric, it's the Bahamas, and we love a good march like everybody else, whether it's a funeral march, lodge march. This is a festival march. And so being confined doesn't help. Look at the spectators. Families are out here. We have vendors outside selling their wares. Tons of money is going to make today.
Just last week, the Christian Council reaffirmed its stance against Bahamas Carnival. In a statement, Council President Bishop Delton Fernandez said the near-naked bodies of men and women who will engage in sexual contact with access to alcohol during the Bahamas Carnival Experience Road March has the potential to lead to sexual violence, rape, and other violent confrontation.
Everyone is entitled to their opinion, obviously, and so, you know, I respect our clergy in the Bahamas, and so, you know, it's for them to actually speak up and say what their convictions are and what they believe.